Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Tuesday. Hope your Tuesday is getting along quite nicely. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. My Tuesday is going pretty well. Had a coworker bring in a Manny Randazzo's king cake a little earlier to the sales floor. I'm not a king cake slob. I kind of like them all, but Manny Randazzo, delicious king cake. Just had a piece before I came on in to get to work here for the next couple of hours. Loads to get to as per usual. Glenn West at 1:30. Some LSU football news on the defensive line at 1:45. We'll hear a little bit about what Matt McMahon had to say yesterday on his coach's show. Get you set up for SEC basketball tonight. Sharif Ishak at 2:30, talking about the reeling Pels. But for the first 30 minutes of the show, we're going to talk a little bit of baseball, because why not? Here, and I watched them yesterday, and I thought some of the stuff was interesting, so we'll get to it. I got to get out to the box for the first time. Wasn't able to over the weekend because was obviously up in Shreveport. So I wanted to get out and take in a couple of innings. Was out there for about an hour and 25, hour and 30 minutes yesterday and saw some interesting stuff. I think some of the stuff that I saw, not necessarily on the field performance, just some things that I observed. Most of the time when I go out to scrimmages, whether it's in the fall or the spring, I go up in the press box and sit. Sometimes there's a couple of like a Coke up there. The vantage point's good. Maybe it's a little bit more comfortable. If it's like a Sunday during football season, there's a TV up there. I use that as a place to go watch the games. Yesterday, I was like, let's just go down by the dugout where everybody else is hanging out, and let's take it in from a little bit of different vantage point. So I was right behind LSU's dugout yesterday. And one of the things I noticed was on a day where neither guy pitched, you saw Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens in the dugout really engaged in the scrimmage that was going on, talking to their teammates, having some fun. They were enjoying each other's company, cutting up. Milazzo made a great throw down to second base to gun down Zebradell and Ruddle, and everybody was fired up, and Skeens was pumping his fist and going nuts. And it's really not that consequential. It's the late January, and you see some guys that are engaged and having fun, but they're new. It's a new part of the world for them to be in. It's practice. They're not going to participate that day because they threw a bunch of pitches over the weekend, and they were genuinely fired up to be there and engaged the entire time. And I think baseball team chemistry is a really important thing. It's a long season, a lot of weekends in hotels, a lot of flights. You know, it's not quite like football. You fly in, you have your night, and then you fly home. You got to spend 4 full days there, 3 nights on the road. Like, team chemistry is a big deal in baseball. And I just thought, I noticed those two guys that were in front of me that were not just sitting back, spitting out sunflower seeds, waiting for the day to be over. They were fired up to be there, and I thought that was cool. Also, kind of quote unquote off the field, the umpire who was calling the scrimmage. They bring in umpires, pay them to, and obviously the umpire's going to give feedback to the coaches and the players, and same thing going back their direction. He was a stickler for this pitch clock. 5 or 6 times in the 4 innings I was there. That's more than once an inning. He's calling a ball or a strike because either the pitcher wouldn't get on the rubber or the batter wouldn't get in the box, and he's yelling at Jay, not like in a derogatory way, but like making sure Jay can hear him, like, that's a ball, Jay. And they're looking, and they never enforced it for the count, so it wasn't like, you know, the guy was giving me an ump show in January, but LSU would have been assessed some penalties yesterday for balls and strikes for not getting in the box or not being on the rubber. This is something they're obviously emphasizing. Jay obviously wanted the guy to come in there and do that. To me, who is eaten up with baseball, I hate it. I despise it. I think it's stupid. At no point yesterday did I think somebody was taking an inordinate amount of time. But that's something I'm going to pay attention to when the season starts. The players will adjust to it, and they'll get used to it. LSU's using this digital pitch system where the coach is punching in the things, and it's on the catcher's wristband and the pitcher's wristband, and they're looking at it, and then they're delivering, not going through signs and shaking off and that kind of stuff. It's just something that I'm going to pay attention to. I don't know that it interests everybody, the speed of the game and what they're doing to get pitches in, but it's obviously something they were emphasizing yesterday, and it was driving me nuts. But as to what I did see on the field, I saw a lot of Chase Shores and Christian Little yesterday. Chase Shores, big 6'8", 6'9", right-hander from Texas. Christian Little, the transfer in from Vanderbilt. Both guys just enormous upsides. Their frames, their projectability, the stuff is all very much there. Shores really impressed me. Now, the radar gun was iffy yesterday. Not that I think it was 1 or 2 miles per hour off. I think it was like way off at times. There were pitchers that were throwing breaking balls that guys were way out in front of and chasing, and it was registering like 95. Yes, LSU has a fine staff that'll be very good in college baseball this year. They're not throwing 95-mile-an-hour sliders the guys are chasing out in front of. There are also instances where I thought they were really firm fastballs, sometimes that were up in the zone, and I look up and the gun says 88. Well, that's not true either with those two guys. So I can't give you exact radar measurements of what we were seeing yesterday. The guys were throwing hard, and Shores looked really, really good. The thing about Shores, when you look at him, you would expect an 18-year-old freshman to show up at 6'8" to be wiry and skinny. Rarely can an 18-year-old fill out a 6'8" frame. And Shores still has room to grow, sure, but he's not skinny. He is not skinny at all. And he throws hard, and he's got good breaking stuff. And there's a reason why the staff, whether it's Wes Johnson in a radio interview or podcast, or it's Jay at Media Day or in a radio interview, there's a reason his name comes up. And I feel really good about the three guys that we've mentioned as the front runners in the rotation. I think Skeens and Floyd and Hurd are the front runners in the rotation. I'm very comfortable telling you that. I also said in the course of 3 weeks, things can change. But I would not be surprised at some point if Chase Shores didn't wrestle away a weekend spot. I hope that everything goes perfect and Skeens dominates as the 3rd overall pick in the draft and an All-American, that Floyd puts it all together, uses the breaking stuff, and becomes a great number 2 starter in the Southeastern Conference. And I hope that Thatcher Hurd shows everything that he showed at UCLA before the injury wiped out his first year. And those guys are your 3 weekend guys, and Shores goes to the bullpen. That'd be great. I'm pulling for that. But if there's a slippage, or heaven forbid there's some sort of injury, or maybe it's just so good out of the bullpen and they stretch it out on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and you just have to get Chase Shores involved some which way. Maybe that's the way it happens. But Shores, before he leaves, will be a frontline SEC starting pitcher, I believe. There's just so much stuff there between the downhill angle that he works with, the fastball velocity, which is going to be in the mid-90s to upper 90s. He's really, really impressive. Christian Little, as I talked to you about last week and a little bit yesterday, I think, never quite put it together at Vanderbilt. And he was dominant sometimes out of the pen, started a little bit here or there, but he was an early enrollee, and then the command wasn't awesome. Sometimes he was getting hit, and he was always thought of as a really projectable pitcher, but the question is like, okay, well, when's it going to click and he becomes a dominant SEC arm? And he hadn't quite shown that. And yesterday, you saw some instances where they weren't hitting him. Fastball elevated, nasty wipeout breaking ball, which we saw at Vanderbilt a little bit, but sometimes the command wasn't quite there. And then sometimes you have to face Dylan Cruz, who clubbed a homer off of him in Nashville last year and hit one yesterday that really could have injured someone in the Baton Rouge area. It was 430 feet, 3/4 of the way up the scoreboard. When Cruz plays out in front of home plate, meaning he hits the ball out in front, his power is unbelievable. It's, to me, more fun to watch him hit home runs the other way, but the power to the pull side when he gets on it is and he hit it a long way. But those two guys are who I saw pitch, and that's the thing. I've been going out there for 15 years to watch fall ball. And when I would see somebody that was throwing 91, 92 miles an hour, like, that's a pretty good arm. That's what Nola throws. Lang would dial it up to 95, but more often than not, he was pitching 91, 92. You had two guys yesterday very clearly, to my eye, in the mid-90s and maybe upper 90s at times, who we are not speaking about as far as the weekend rotation goes right this second. That's something. And it was on display yesterday. The talent was very, very obvious. I I loved a couple things on defense that I saw. Ben DePolt, the transfer in from Virginia Commonwealth, who's an all-league player at VCU, is kind of thought of as a utility guy on this team. And he showed it yesterday because he played second base for one team and third base for another team at times. And he made a nice backhanded diving play up the middle and then got up and threw a runner out at first base. I think it was Trey Morgan. And then later, Jack Merrifield hit a rocket shot down the third base line, and DePolt snared it. Now, that play was easier because he didn't have to leave his feet, but it was still hit really hard, and he made the play over there, quick reactions at third base. And that's what DePolt's going to have to give you. He can play some second for you, he can play some short for you, and he can certainly play some third for you. And in this early season where they're going to be rotating guys through trying to find at-bats and certainly trying to find a second baseman, DePolt with his left-handed swing and the ability to play multiple positions on the infield can help you there. He ripped a ball to left field yesterday, the opposite field for a left-handed hitter, and Braden Jobert made a really nice play coming in to dive and make the catch. But it was a good swing, and that's the kind of thing you expect from DePolt. He's not going to hit 360. He's not going to hit 14 home runs. He's probably not going to be your starting shortstop. In fact, I'm very confident he won't be. I don't have any reason to believe that he'll be in the contention for that. But he's a nice utility piece on a loaded team, and I think that's a really, really good thing. Last thing, before we get to some other baseball news from the Hey Fightin' podcast with Cody Worsham yesterday that was really, really good, and I'll play some sound for it here coming up. Alex Milazzo made a really, really nice catch and throw to gun down a would-be base stealer in Zeb Ruddle. I mentioned that at the top, but it was a really good catch and throw, and that's what you're going to need to have, especially when you play the elite starting pitchers in this league. When you get Jackson Wiggins from Arkansas, when you get Hunter Elliott from Ole Miss, when you get Dollander and Burns and Beam from Tennessee, the list goes on, but you're going to see elite-level arms that even though LSU's offense is incredible on paper and has great players, if you expect LSU to go out there and get 7 runs off Chase Dollander, I got to pump the brakes for you a little bit. They could, but they're probably not. So you're going to need Skeens or whoever it is that night to shut them down. You're going to need some help on defense, and that's what Milazzo can help you do. And maybe Neal comes out there to start the game, but you need to go to Milazzo in the 7th, and if guys are trying to steal a bag because they don't feel really good about getting 3 hits in an inning off Grant Taylor or Chase Shores, Christian Little, they may try to run, and Milazzo can certainly help you there, and he did yesterday. It was a really, really nice catch and throw by Alex. So that's some of the things that I saw out there at practice yesterday. But to take things a step further, Cody Worsham, who does such an awesome job with the digital media over there at LSU, put out a podcast yesterday, Hey Fightin' Podcast, called LSU Winning, and he sat down with Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens, and they kicked some things around. I want you to hear some of that sound coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game.
Join me, Jimmy Otta and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. That's Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So as I mentioned on the tease there, Cody Worsham, who does such an awesome job with LSU's digital media, has a podcast called Hey Fightin' Podcast, and he calls it Winning Time. And he takes a lot of what athletes and coaches do sport to sport at LSU that contribute to winning and tries to get a little bit more detail in describing it. And certainly, I think you all realize how closely I pay attention to LSU's baseball program, but there are certainly things that I don't know. And I don't have a great feel for what exactly goes into this pitch lab they've been talking about for over a year. And Wes Johnson is a huge proponent of it. He's in there all the time. And the guys are really seeing some results. And if you've heard us talk about the huge jump Ty Floyd has made, if you've heard us talk about the huge jump that, just blanking on the name, right-hander from Arizona, was in the bullpen last year. Bryce Collins. Just took a second. Sometimes you're on live radio and it's just not there. Bryce Collins taking a huge jump. Here that Grant Taylor has really elevated himself. And some of that is just natural progression of a college athlete, but some of it is the stuff they're doing over there at LSU, and the pitch lab plays a huge role in it. So you're going to hear from Paul Skeens and Thatcher Hurd in these two clips. The first one will be Skeens, then we'll hear from Hurd. But I invite you to go check out the entire podcast that Cody did called Hey Fightin' Podcast. You can find it wherever you find your podcast. It's a fascinating 30-minute sit-down with these two guys, but I've just pulled two clips from it. And the first is Paul Skeens just talking about the pitch lab.
A little bit and, track the data a little bit in that sense, but I didn't understand it a lot. And I didn't, understood what I didn't understand what made my stuff good and, why I got hitters out. I just had no idea. And then, I get here, and we have all the resources in the world, and then a pitching coach and, a team of like data analysts, I guess, that can interpret the data and tell me what I'm doing right and what I need to work on, all that. That is, help me develop. And so, like, I remember throwing that bullpen, and that was pretty much my first time in there too. And, we're on the force mount, and I'm like looking at the data, and just because I think something different about landing in the into my front side differently, it's creating more force and more velo, whatever it is. It was really cool.
For you, same thing, but
so that's Skeens kind of explaining what the difference is and things that he had never seen before. And I bring that clip up because this is the deal. Not everybody in college baseball, in fact, very few, are going to spend the money to invest in something like this. Ole Miss will do it, and South Carolina will do it, and Vanderbilt will do it, and Florida will do it. And all these schools, Texas A&M will do it, and Texas will do it. There will be plenty of schools that will do it. But there are also going to be plenty of Paul Skeens that are really talented players that blossom at the college level that are looking for the development in a place to become pros. And this is how that happens. LSU will always have this and is going to be on the forefront of this stuff because they're willing to commit the resources to it. And this is not like a new locker room or, charter flight or a third paid assistant. This is the technology in this lab that's not going to be available to everyone. So LSU is going to be able to sell this not only to high school recruits who are looking to where they want to play their college baseball, but to guys looking to make the jump to the pro ball and the best place to develop them. And LSU is going to be that. And I'll further it here with Thatcher Hurd, who's talking about the equipment and lab. Now, this is going to be a pretty long bite. I usually don't play sound bites that span 2 minutes, but this is a pitcher who was at a prominent baseball program at UCLA, but they're not going to spend the money on this. And Thatcher Hurd is looking to progress his career for 2 more years and then get a huge payday. And listen to the detail that goes into the preparation of the pitchers on LSU's campus.
What do you like best about them?
Yeah, for sure. The first part, which Coach West is pretty much like one of the founders of and kind of got it implemented into pitching labs, is the force plate mound. And basically what that does is it's measuring how much force production is being put into the mound from your front leg to your back leg. And obviously the more force you can put in the ground, the harder you're going to throw, the more efficient your delivery is going to be. And that it allows you to throw harder, go deeper into games and stay healthier. So moving as efficiently as you can with the most power you can. So that's something that's pretty exclusive to us with, the availability of it. And then you have the Edutronic cameras, which I think was one of the biggest draws for me. I've always wanted to use those. And when you think pitching lab, that you think of an Edutronic camera. And that's a super slow-mo camera that basically it sees exactly how the baseball is coming off your fingers. So when you see guys in the big leagues that just have nasty stuff, it's because they have it down to a science, exactly what finger they want the ball to come off of and how they want to throw it, and the axis of the spin. So that just gives you like objective data on how you want to release your pitches. And then there's motion capture, which goes back to efficiency of how you move. And, like maximizing your body, how hard it can throw, and, what needs to be cleaned up. And then if I'm missing anything else, the last one's the TrackMan, which takes pictures of the ball in flight, and that shows what the ball's going to do, and the movement, the spin, the velocity, the release, and all that. And so with all of that, that pretty much gives you objective data into how your stuff works and why you need to use it, how you need to use it. And what Coach West is so good about is he gives the how and how to do something where everyone can give the why. And that data and his background of knowing what to do with it is what makes him the pitching coach that he is and why that resource is so helpful to us.
That's fascinating to me. I don't know about you. That is fascinating to me. They have got it down to literally a science of, okay, how much force are you putting on your back leg and your front leg? And we can measure what that does in terms of velocity. Okay, what finger is the ball coming off of? If you're trying to throw a two-seamer, you need pressure on your inside finger to make that ball drive and run. If you're throwing a changeup, you need it to come off the middle finger and the ring finger. If you're just throwing a four-seam fastball and you're losing velocity because they can see that because they've got those cameras he's talking about that take pictures of it coming out, and they've got the TrackMan that does it all as well. And Wes Johnson has been instrumental in kind of the invention of some of this stuff, and certainly knows how to interpret it and get it to be applied. And it's so much easier to use this information to make adjustments in your delivery. I don't claim to be able to throw 97 miles an hour, but I can tell you an instance where this type of technology helped me instantly. I play a lot of golf. I don't anymore, but I used to play a lot of golf. And about 5 years ago, I lost the ability to hit a driver. I'd hit a driver my entire life. I was decent enough at it, and I couldn't get it airborne. I was snap hooking everything, and it got so bad that I could not sit down, close my eyes, and envision myself hitting a good tee shot. I literally bought a new club, a 3-iron, with a graphite shaft in it because I had to hit something farther off the tee, and I couldn't hit a driver. I got a lesson with the TrackMan. And this sounds really stupid, and people that don't care about golf will be like, "What?" But here's the point: like, I hit 8 shots and duck hook snapped them all, and he said, "Look, your launch angle needs to be like plus 5 degrees. It's -3. You have to hit up on the ball. You're hitting down on it, like you're trapping the ball. You need to hit up on the ball." Well, so I put the ball up in stance and started swinging up on the ball. Started launching drives. Hadn't done it in 10 months. It was all I needed was the TrackMan to say, "Hey, you're swinging straight down and it's -3. I need it to be plus 5." Started hitting it up in the air. But the point of that is not, oh, Hunt plays golf or you got a lesson, or it's not that Hunt doesn't know what he's talking about because he's not pitching. The point is you can use this data and they can point to something that simple. Like, oh, look, see, there's this much weight on your back leg, not on your front leg. There's where your velocity is missing. For me, it was the angle of your attack, and I fixed it instantly. It used to be you want to throw harder, go lift weights and play a lot of long toss, and that still helps. You need to lift weights and you need to play long toss, but there are things you can do with the efficiency of your delivery. And not only did I take away from those 2 sound bites that LSU has this stuff available, but these 2 guys who are projected first-round picks understand it all. Thatcher Hurd went through all the stuff. I don't even remember what he said. Endotechnic cameras. He pronounced it right. He was using efficiency of delivery, velocity. He knew what all the stuff was. They're completely bought in to this stuff as well. Not like he brought in all these bells and whistles. These guys like, wait, just let me go play. They get it. It's a big deal. This pitch lab is going to be a game changer for LSU. And again, it will not be the only program in the country that has a pitch lab. They'll be one of, in the grand scheme, few. And if you're Christian Little at Vanderbilt or Thatcher Hurd at UCLA or Paul Skeens at Air Force, at these other programs having some solid careers, this is better. Come over here. That word will be out there. You don't think kids are going to talk about that in the Cape Cod League? You think they're going to talk about that at Team USA? It's a big deal, and it's not something that you'll see out at the box on a Friday night. It's not something that we talk about very often, but that was a really enlightening podcast that Cody did. So again, if you're just jumping in and want to know where this stuff comes from, Cody Worsham over at LSU, the Hay Fighting Podcast Network, Winning Time, and Paul Skeens and Thatcher Hurd jumped on and they dropped it yesterday. It is some fascinating stuff. So just interested me. Hope it did to you as well. Take a time out, come back with Glenn West of Go 247. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team in the game 30 years helping you out with your bathrooms and your closets. How much better would your home situation be if you had a brand newly renovated bathroom? You can go through the entire process with David Duvall and his team. It's one company, one contractor. It's One Bath and Closets on the bathroom side of things. They can do a full-scale renovation, or they can just do a tub-to-shower conversion. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. Could totally change the way that your bathroom looks, feels, and functions. And on the closet side, maybe you got a ton of clutter. shoes everywhere, can't fit all your clothes. Maybe it's compartments you need, mirrors, cubbies. Maybe it's a tie rack, just some more room. David Duvall and his team can customize a closet solution for you. And if you tell him the Hunt Palmer Show sent you to One Bath and Closets, he's not going to charge you to rip out that closet. He's not going to charge you for the labor to install the new one. Just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. Check out the testimonials there. David Duvall and his team are fantastic, and they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Head to the website, OneBathAndClosets.com, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward.
Hannigruff, join us for the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time. Shea Dixon is with us. It's National Signing Day, though it figures to be a little bit quiet for the Tigers. We'll get you up to date on everything going on around the country. Plus, we do first class, second class, no class. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tuesday edition, Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll head out to the phone lines now. Jim's Firearm Hotlines, where we find Glenn West at Go247. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. How are you?
Doing well. We're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some basketball. I'll just let you pick the sport you want to start with. Why not?
Let's start with some baseball, huh?
Right.
I think that would be good.
We can do that. You were obviously out at the box some this weekend. Did some interviews with Jay as well as the players. Did anything catch your eye this weekend, or maybe your ear that you heard or saw that we can kind of dig into?
Yeah, so I mean, there were a couple of words that I thought really stood out just in talking with players and with Jay Johnson as well. One of them was options, and I think when you look at this roster, the pitching staff and position players as well, they're going to have a lot of options in terms of just the starting rotation and what that could look like. Some of the position groups that are going to be really up for grabs over the next couple weeks, or whether it's second base or one of those outfield slots is certainly going to be open. Catcher. I think you're going to see a revolving door of players early in the season getting opportunities, and I think that's a really, really positive sign for this program to not only have just a number of bodies, but a number of quality bodies that they seemingly have riddled throughout this roster. So that was one word. And then the other word was selfless. And we heard that from Jay Johnson really going all the way back to last week at the banquet, and then also repeated by players and Coach Johnson last weekend during media days as well. And, you know, when there's only 9 spots out on the field, and there's only so many pitchers you can pitch in a day. So I do think that this is going to be a really talented group, but one that's got to be kind of self-aware that, you know, you might not be able to play every day and still keep, you know, the work, going throughout the season to stay ready when your opportunity comes.
It's so much easier said than done come in January. Then you talk about the season starts, because some guys just simply aren't going to play nearly as much as they thought that they might. And it's going to be interesting to see. That's Jay's job, and he knows it. Keep that locker room together, and I think there's a degree of the players that got to take ownership of that as well. Do you think there's going to be a closer on this team?
I think you could probably roll with a couple different guys. I think Grant Taylor's a great option. I got a chance to see Bryce Collins yesterday, and he shut out the final couple innings of that game, of that scrimmage yesterday, the final inning. He has a really great curveball that he's mixed in well with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So I think you could see Bryce Collins close games. You could see Grant Taylor close games, Ty Floyd. Really, whichever handful of pitchers don't end up earning the starting weekend rotation, I think they feel comfortable running really any of those guys out as a closer.
Do you think that somebody on this staff will establish themselves as a midweek starter, or are they just going to kind of figure out what they've done the past weekend to win games and then use whatever's available in the midweek?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a couple options there. I think you kind of start from the front and work your way back. I mean, I think Thatcher Hurd, Christian Little, Ty Floyd, Grant Taylor, all those guys are going to be competing for the other 2 weekend rotations now that we know that Paul Skeens is most likely going to be the Friday starter. So I would certainly throw, any one of those names into the mix as a potential midweek starter. Chase Shores, the freshman, he actually pitched yesterday, and he's got a 96-mile-an-hour fastball mixed up with some really good off-speed pitches as well. Could certainly see him being a midweek kind of guy. Blake Money could be a midweek guy for you. Griffin Herring. I mean, you could really go down the list. There's a lot of names here that I think really fit that role as a midweek guy who could really establish themselves as deep relief pitching during the weekend as well.
We know that Trey Morgan played the majority of the season last year with a massive brace on his knee. And we know that he's been a very good average hitter in his time, but not necessarily a huge power guy. Now that he's got a healthy leg and he's a year older and more developed, do you think you see more of the speed game from him than you did last year, or more of the power game than you saw from him last year?
I would certainly expect to see more of the speed than maybe the power. I think he's such a hit for contact kind of guy, and he knows exactly what kind of pitches he's looking for. I mean, I think one of the signature moves that I've ever seen from a baseball player is just how quickly he notices that a ball is not going his way, and he kind of steps away from the plate before it even gets there. I mean, that's just classic Trey Morgan. And so he's gonna swing at pitches he knows he can put in play. And I think you're going to see him be really, really aggressive this year on the bags. He's definitely one of the faster guys on this team.
Glenn West, our guest, go 247 for your LSU team and recruiting coverage. All right, let's switch over to some basketball. Tigers were competitive most of the game against Texas Tech, and it got away from them over the last 8 minutes because they couldn't make a shot. What did you see on Saturday?
I would imagine you and I both saw the same thing. I mean, this is a team that really looked like it started to show some flashes of being able to build some confidence and be able to put the ball in the basket, and then it really just reverted back to its really poor ways in the final stretch of that game. At the most inopportune time, they just couldn't put the ball in the basket. They had one field goal over the final 9 minutes, and that was just kind of a garbage time layup by Adam Miller. And so when you kind of get into those extreme flunks, there's really nothing you can do to win a close game like that. I mean, you've got to play pretty much perfect defense, and even that probably won't even do it. So, it's just another kind of disappointing effort or kind of disappointing result. I mean, I think the effort was much improved from last week's midweek game against Arkansas. So there's just still a lot of confidence issues that I think this program's going through right now. Like some really great growing pains, and it doesn't get any easier this week with Missouri, and then finishing it off with Alabama later on Saturday.
If you had a moment and Matt McMahon had some truth serum injected into him, what do you think he wants to accomplish over the next month?
I think he wants to probably get this foundation back on track, the chemistry back on track. When you get into some of these losing slumps, it's kind of hard for players not to feel down about themselves, about kind of the trajectory of the season. And so, I think you can certainly kind of read between the lines there. There's just there's some internal growth that I think needs to happen with the program, and if they can finish this thing out on a bright note, win a couple of games in a row, finish SEC play a little bit better than the way they've started, you can start building up the blocks back up. But there's no doubt that this is a team that's in a very different place than it was even a couple of weeks ago in terms of being 12-1 and looking like it's going to be on the verge of contending in the SEC, and now they've just really kind of let the gas fall completely out, and so they need to regain some of that momentum.
You think you may have found something with Adam Miller shooting the ball on Saturday?
You never know. I mean, look, he had it's one good game. I'm not ready to call the bells or whatever. I don't know what the saying is, but I mean, I think he's got a lot of potential. But, it's just been really inconsistent shooting the ball for him in the last, really 6-7 weeks of the season. And so I think you need to see it, kind of come to fruition a couple games in a row to really believe that it's going to stay for a while.
All right, Glenn, appreciate your time. We'll talk next week.
All right, Hunt. Thanks so much.
He's Glenn West, Go247. He's our senior writer over there covering the squads from the hardwood to the diamond to the gridiron when appropriate, which will be coming up here in a few weeks. They'll crank up some spring football. I do want to talk a little bit of spring football to finish up hour number one, specifically along the defensive line, where they may be a little thin on numbers in spring football. I'll tell you why coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. That's why they're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana each and every day here on the Hunt Palmer Show. All January long, we have told you about Hunters for the Hungry. It's a nonprofit founded by a group of local hunters to share the game and fish they harvest every year with the needy. And since they started up in 1994, they've expanded throughout the state of Louisiana, and now they partner with all 5 major food banks in the state. There are over 900,000 resident hunters and anglers in the state contributing to the sportsman industry, and that supports nearly 24,000 jobs here in Louisiana, and the economic impact is over $1.6 billion. A huge, huge part of our state, and Hunters for the Hungry make certain that they use that passion, that pastime to help the needy in our state, and that's what they do with those programs like Clean Out Your Freezer Day and Freshly Harvested Game Program. One deer can feed 240 meals. Hunters for the Hungry, truly a champion of Louisiana. LWCC wants to elevate and celebrate other champions of Louisiana. So we want you to do this. Seriously, listen up. If you know of a person or a nonprofit or a company that's doing awesome stuff like Hunters for the Hungry, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate them. We're going to be telling stories here on Hunt and Hill for the foreseeable future, and we want to do it. So go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate someone to be a champion of Louisiana. Hunters for the Hungry, January's Champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ATEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll get you an update on the Senior Bowl and can the Pelicans finally end this losing streak. We'll preview it all on Tuesday's AFR. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The numbers may be a little thin along LSU's defensive front in spring football. Certainly better in the spring than the fall, but that may be the case. As we've noticed over the last couple of weeks here as we've gotten into the new year, you look around at some of the guys who LSU's going to lean on the defensive front, they've had some surgeries and whatnot. Look, Jordan Jefferson comes over from West Virginia, had a bit of a meniscus injury. He's banged up. Deshaun Womack, the 5-star signee, comes in. He's got his shoulder cleaned up, so he was in a sling when he reported to campus. We saw the picture inside the LSU team room. He's a little bit iffy right now. Obviously, we've gotten word over the last 24 hours that Mekhi Wingo has had some procedure done to his shoulder. So he's going to be out for spring ball, I think. And then you look at the fact that, the guy that you may feel is the most recognizable on that defensive front, the guy that you may lean on the heaviest on that defensive front is Nathan Smith, and he's coming off of a torn ACL. So you got Jefferson, who's an inside player, Womack, who's an edge guy, Mason Smith, who's on the inside. Go with Mekhi Wingo, who's going to be one of your guys on the inside as well. That may be a light position group. Some of those new guys that have come in from the transfer portal, and then if you can sign another high school player here over the next couple of weeks, may get a lot of run. It's obviously the safe thing to do would be to rest guys and not push things in the spring. That goes without saying. Maybe the most obvious thing I've stated on this show. And there's none of these guys that you feel like desperately need reps. Jordan Jefferson's been a multi-year starter at West Virginia. Mason Smith has been in the program now for 2 years. Just need to get him healthy. He can be ready to go. Mekhi Wingo is an all-conference type player, all-American caliber player. He understands the defense. Now, of course, you'd love to put Deshaun Womack out there in his first spring and get him ready to roll. And that's a real bummer if he can't go. I don't know that he can't. I'm not here to report actual length of time on injury recoveries. But we understand that he showed up at campus with the sling. So that's not a great start. But that's the one guy you would love to get out there. But this all circles back around to a little bit of the benefit that you have with continuity finally. Because you've been shuffling defensive coordinators for 4 years. Aranda, Pelini, Durante Jones, now to Matt House, and just shuffling. And you constantly got to put in a new system in the spring. That's not the case this year. Mason Smith knows the system. Mekhi Wingo knows the system. And you can get some of the other guys caught up on the system because it is what it was 12 months ago. So it's a bad news that you may have some guys on the defensive front that can't participate in the month-long spring practices. But it's a good news in that you don't have to ramp them up to speed come August, which is what LSU's been doing for 4 years. So I was bummed to see that, but this is the time to do it. January is the time to get everybody cleaned up, everybody back to health, work on your grades, study some film, freshen your body, and then when the summer comes and it's time for those conditioning exercises and finally to report to fall camp in August, you're ready to roll. And I'm curious, I haven't been out to a lot of spring ball lately. People have different feelings on it. And again, I think when you're putting in different systems, there are probably some more important aspects to it. There are not a ton of guys on LSU's roster that are desperate need of spring football, quite frankly. So to have these guys fresh and ready to roll in the summer is priority one, and I think they'll go ahead and get that done. So it was a bummer to see it, but I think everything will be okay on that side of things. There's your football nugget for the day. How about that? We got a little football snuck in here in January. Want to remind you, if you're looking for something to do this evening, coming out to Pluckers, 8:30 for sports trivia. We do it every single Tuesday on at the Nicholson location. It's team trivia. You can come by yourself, or you can bring a squad, grab a seat, get some cold drinks, get something good to eat, and we crank things up at 8:30. Have a lot of hoops on the TVs. Got 5 rounds. First place for each round gets $15. Second place, $5. You can get best team name at the end of the night, $10 Pluckers dollars. You can walk away with $50 or so if you have a good night. So come on out and hang out with us at the Pluckers on Nicholson for sports trivia at 8:30. We'll have you out of there by 10 o'clock. Looking forward to it. Always love my Tuesday nights out there at Pluckers. Want to remind you this February, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $2,000 in cash. We're also selecting a local prize winner to receive $1,000 in cash. You can sign up now at 1045ESPN.com. All right, Citizens Bank poll question of the day we'll throw at you, and we'll get to it at the end of the hour. Is it too early to start eating crawfish? Citizens Bank poll question of the day, yes or no, too early to start eating crawfish? I'm more of like a March crawfish guy. I try to get some warm weather pumping in, but some people crave it. They got to have it early, and I'm all for you. I'm just probably not going to join you in that. We'll see what people think on the Citizens Bank poll question today. You can check that out at 1045 ESPN on Twitter each and every day. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand page, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you catch your audio or video, you can find The Hunt Palmer Show. Just go ahead and search and like, subscribe, rate, and review. We certainly appreciate that. Open things up with my baseball thoughts from yesterday's scrimmage that I was able to take in. Chase Shores, Christian Little, Ben DePault, Dylan Cruz, pitch clock fiascos, all that's at the top of the show. And then some really great stuff from the Hey Fightin' podcast. Cody Warsh from the team over there at LSU, Winning Time with Paul Skeens and Thatcher Hurd played a couple of great clips from that. Glenn West of Go 247 with us each and every Tuesday at 1:30. He was certainly with us there. And then a little football to end your hour. Coming up in the second hour, get you ready for LSU for SEC basketball tonight. Sharif Ishak from WDSU joins us each and every Tuesday at 2:30. We'll chat with him. He doesn't have too much positive to say at this point about the New Orleans Pelicans, so we'll see what we get from Sharif. We come back, little information from Matt McMahon on his coach's show last night, which was over at TJ Ribs with Chris Blair. All right, Sports Center coming up. Come back with us. Hope your Tuesday is going awesome. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Tonight will mark the return of LeBron James for the Lakers, reports ESPN's Dave McMenamin. James out last night with soreness in his left foot, back against the Knicks to play at Madison Square Garden, one of his favorite arenas for the first time in 3 years. Eagles left guard Landon Dickerson's expected to play in Super Bowl 57 against the Chiefs despite a hyperextended elbow. His availability all the more important to protect quarterback Jalen Hurts from Chiefs defensive line, and one of the best interior D linemen in the game, Chris Jones, notes ESPN's Mina Kimes.
Over the last 2 months, they rank third across the NFL in pressure rate. I think Chris Jones was the best defensive tackle in football this year. I think Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, does a really brilliant job of finding ways to scheme up one-on-ones for him. I expect him to blitz Hurts a lot too. So it won't be easy for Hurts, certainly not as easy as it looked at times against San Francisco.
Ravens quarterback Tyler Huntley's heading to the Pro Bowl as a fourth alternate. He'll replace Buffalo's Josh Allen. Huntley's the first QB since Vince Young in 2006 to make the Pro Bowl after throwing more interceptions 3 than touchdowns 2.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2 here on a Tuesday. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Sharif Ishak in 30 minutes talking Pels, maybe a little bit of Saints as well. Take it or leave it, always finishes things up here. So stay with us for another hour here. I was listening to Matt McMahon's show last night, and he's talking with Chris Blair, and they're going through the Texas Tech game. We'll briefly talking about Missouri, and between all that, talking about kind of the state of where this team is. And I have said this a lot of times over my months and really years, going back to when I was guests on shows here frequently. I don't necessarily care how you handle press conferences and speaking engagements as a coach. The only thing that really matters is winning. You can handle things like less and withhold the truth, to use a lessism, on injuries. You can say every opponent's incredible, everything's great, he's good, that's awesome. That's fine. Win the national championship in 2007, win the league in 2011. You do whatever you need to do there. You can be like Paul Maneri, in my opinion, and say, look, we got to play better. And if we make this play here, it's a different game. And some people hated that, and some people are fine. I'm fine with it. You can't antagonize your players through the media, but you can be truthful. You can tell us that a guy is going to be out for 6 weeks because he got hurt, as opposed to Les saying, yeah, he's fine. I don't care about that either. You can be like Ed Ogeron, who was, pretty short on verbalizing answers. Just kind of, there's not a ton there. You can be like Johnny Jones, who used a ton of cliches and not much substantive come from his press conference. Same thing with Trent. Will Wade, a little more forthcoming. He's going to kind of lay things on the line for you. He's got a little bit more of an entertainment aspect to him. Sometimes he would speak to the other team through the media. I don't care. I really don't. As long as you win games. You win games, it's good. You lose games, not good. Results, not answers. Some people feel like team loses a game, the coach has to go to the press conference and answer every question. I don't care about that. Either fix it and win, or it'll take care of itself. So Matt McMahon is in a really tough spot here in his first year. We all know this. They've lost 8 games in a row. They're losing by double digits. They're having a hell of a time trying to score, and their defense hasn't been great either. And he's choosing right now to handle it in a way that involves a lot of repeated cliches. He's saying the only way I know to fix it is to go to work. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer to me. He knows he's got to go to work. He's got to coach these guys. He's got to continue to rebuild the roster year over year, work the transfer portal, work high school recruits, put in a foundation, hire the right assistants. If you lose 8 games in a row and you come out there and you say, yeah, we're close, we're gonna get this thing fixed, that's fine. If you come out there and say, you know what, we're fighting an uphill battle here, our guys are tough as nails, and we're just going to do the best we can, that's fine. If you want to say what Matt McMahon says and says the only way I know is to go to work, I don't care what you say on that. But that's what he's choosing to say. So most of Matt McMahon's show last night was kind of in that vein, kind of cliche-riddled and very matter-of-fact. And, yeah, this has been a struggle. Yeah, at times guys can get dejected, but we just have to go back to work. So I'm not going to play any of the sound from Matt McMahon because it's not riveting radio. There was some news and notes. Juice Hill practiced for a couple of days with LSU, then played in the game on Saturday. He's back with the team, and they're going to use him moving forward. And what I've noticed in some of the press conferences and certainly in some of Chris's questions on the Matt McMahon show, Matt McMahon is choosing with this group of guys to find small positives and, one, make sure the guys are aware that there are some, and two, find some way to extend them. He mentioned at the beginning of the second half against Texas Tech, they played 11 minutes with no turnovers, shooting a good percentage from the floor, and didn't give up any fast break points. So there's 11 minutes there of the 40 where you kind of accomplish things you want to do. Texas Tech's a team that's going to turn you over because they're a really good defensive team. They're not a great offensive team. If they get in transition, they can score points more easily. We want to make sure we don't turn the ball over, don't give up fast break points. We should be in good shape. And they were for those 11 minutes. Now, you gave up some threes early. You gave up some offensive rebounds early. KJ got in foul trouble in the middle of the second half. You couldn't score at all in the end of the second half. We know that there were some bad parts of the game. But he's choosing to find the small positives and try to expand on them. Going into practice every day with a team that's lost 8 in a row and screaming and yelling about how terrible they are behind closed doors, probably not going to help psyche very much. So I'm with him on the way that this is going. And in a different era, I would look at where this basketball team is, and I would say, sometimes at the bottom of the mountain, which is where LSU is right now, starting over from scratch with the roster, sometimes from the bottom of the mountain, this is the easiest time to go through an 8-game losing streak. Not easy, but easiest. Because you realize that you're laying the foundation and trying to climb. Sometimes you just take your lumps down at the bottom. This is really hard when you get to the top of the mountain, then you get over to the back half of the mountain, and things start falling apart, and you know what the end is. That's going on right now in Oxford. That went on here in Johnny Jones's last year. They had the team that went to the tournament and lost to NC State on the buzzer beater. The next year was the Simmons team, where it kind of fell apart at the end. And then the last year, we all know how that went. And that's when you start answering questions about coaches' futures and your future and all that kind of stuff. Those questions don't come up in year one. So that's positive for the players. They don't have to deal with that. But also in a foregone era, you know that the guys you have on the team are the guys you're building with. And you don't know that in this transfer portal era. I can tell you this. KJ Williams is not going to be on the team next year. Trey Hannibal's not going to be on the team next year. Justice Hill's not going to be on the team next year. So that's 3 guys. And you guys that stayed over at LSU still have their transfer ability. I have no idea if they want to or not. Does anybody want to test pro basketball? Adam Miller's probably had that on his mind for a long time. So you don't know what next year's team's going to look like. So it's, from a fan's perspective, and certainly from my perspective covering the team, it's harder to talk about laying the foundation when you don't know if the foundation's going to be there when you build the house, right? So it brings it to an odd point in covering the team. It's like, what do we talk about? If you got Tremont Waters on your team, and you got Skylar Mays on your team, and they're younger players, and you've got a whole roster full of 4 and 5 stars coming in the recruiting class with Naz Reid and Emmett Williams and Darius Days, Cavell Bigby Williams, the transfer. Like, that becomes an easy narrative to start talking about. I don't know who's going to be on this team next year. So it brings you to, like, what do we talk about with this year? And I'm going to continue to preview the teams that LSU plays and talk about a way they can keep it close and try to get one here or there. But do I know that that's the foundation? I don't know. It's hard for me to have a discussion about the amount of progression some of the younger players in this team are going to make when they have the option to just up and leave. And I don't know. I don't have any inside sources over there to tell you this is going to happen or that's going to happen. It's just an odd spot in covering the team because as we've been well versed in, it's a year-to-year thing, not a program-building thing. You build teams, not a program. And it's hard to know what the next year's team is going to look like in January of this year's team. And I'm not going to talk about the net or bracketology with you. So it's what I've taken is that Matt McMahon is, I believe, saying what he thinks, saying we just got to go back to practice and we got to go recruit. And they're just going to keep going out there and trying to play hard. He did say last night they had their longest practice of the season, and everybody was in really good spirits yesterday. Whether or not that translates to Mizzou Arena on Wednesday, I couldn't tell you. We'll certainly find out. LSU Hoops again back at it tomorrow night at Mizzou Arena. We'll talk about the Tigers and the Tigers tomorrow and preview that game. When we come back, SEC basketball tonight, a couple of good games that we want to talk about before we get to Sharif Ishak at 2:30. You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford, check out that inventory, BayouFord.com. Maybe the Black Widow is a truck that you're interested in. Can't find those everywhere. You certainly can at Bayou Ford. So head over to the website, BayouFord.com, and search that inventory. Maybe you're not in the mood for or in the market for a truck. Maybe it's a Bronco. Maybe it's a Mustang, the Explorer, the Expedition. They've got them all over there at Bayou Ford. They've also got some great deals that you can find. And one of the things you'll find when you get to the website, big bold letters, don't settle. Don't settle for a car just because it's on a lot somewhere. Let Bayou Ford customize a vehicle for you. 75% of the customers over at Bayou Ford have their vehicles customized. And when they're ready, 60 to 90 days, they come on in and driven right to your front door with the paperwork. Bayou to you. Love the convenience over at Bayou Ford. Again, go to the website, BayouFord.com. BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it, They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. That's Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, SEC Hoops tonight, starting actually closer to this afternoon with that 5:30 start on the SEC Network. That's going to be Mississippi State and South Carolina. That's going to be a fairly ugly contest, I would imagine. South Carolina is just ugly in general. Mississippi State is ugly on offense. Can't imagine the Gamecocks cracking 60 in this one. And you never know what offense you're going to get from Mississippi State. They may not crack 60 either. So the over-under in this game is 126.5. If that tells you anything about a basketball game with a total of 126.5, it should be fairly ugly. Mississippi State's a 9.5-point favorite. South Carolina stinks. I would have to take Mississippi State in this one. Fade if you wish. The biggest game of the day in the SEC, which I am excited to sit down and watch, is Texas A&M at Arkansas. Arkansas is desperate. They had a chance on the road at Baylor. They were in that game, had a three in the air from the corner from the guy they wanted to shoot the three, and he didn't make it. Pinion's been an awesome shooter for them over the last few months, and he just didn't knock that one down. A&M is looking to strengthen their tournament resume, which all of it is going to have to come from the work they do in the Southeastern Conference because they were so bad in December and November. This would be still a really nice win. Yes, Arkansas is 14-7 overall. That's not incredible. Yes, they're 3-5 in league play. But still, going on the road and beating Arkansas, very, very positive thing for the net if you're Texas A&M. Arkansas is a 3.5-point favorite. Bud Walton's a very difficult place to play. A&M went to maybe the toughest place to play right now in the league at Auburn, and they won and snapped that 26-game winning streak in Auburn Arena. If A&M can win this game at Arkansas, I'm going to have no choice but to have to start to believe here a little bit. Because the next two they have are at home against Georgia and again against Auburn. Then they got to come to Baton Rouge, which I don't think anybody's thinking is too daunting a task. Then they got a home game with Arkansas, and they're at Missouri, Tennessee, at Mississippi State, which is tough. They still have Ole Miss and then Bama to play. That one's at home. The point being, like, they're in a position to really start socking away a significant amount of wins. They started league play on a 5-game win streak, dropped the close one to Kentucky, and have won two more. So they're 7-1. If they win this game at Arkansas to go to 8-1, and they win their next three, Georgia, Auburn at home, and then at LSU, you're starting to get into a territory where they're going to make the dance with such an awful non-conference, which would make me sad because I kind of liked the narrative that their basketball program was cratering after it had been kind of built. Arkansas, if they lose this game, falls even deeper into trouble. They'd fall to 14-8, 3-6 in league play, and they've still got some really difficult games to play. Arkansas still has not played games at Rupp, at A&M, at Alabama, at Tennessee, and home against Kentucky. That's 5 of their remaining 10 games. So they got issues down the stretch, quite frankly. And in college basketball, you do appreciate really tough games because there are opportunities for huge wins, and losses don't usually kill you until they stack up like they are in Arkansas right now. So monster game at Bud Walton. Arkansas, a 3.5-point favorite. I'll take A&M in the points. Quite frankly, the way they're playing right now, 7-1 in the league, I'll take them. I don't think things are going to be very friendly to Vanderbilt. They are headed to Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa tonight for a 7:30 tip-off on SEC Network. And Bama's probably not going to be in a great mood. They got absolutely housed on Saturday by Oklahoma. I think they'll probably be pretty ticked off. And the Vegas line would indicate that. 15.5, Alabama is favored over Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt can run some stuff on offense. Sometimes they put up points. I can't quite put my finger on it when I'm watching them play because nobody they tried out there looks like a superstar to me. But they do find a way to score. So I'll take the 15.5. That's a lot of points. Do I feel good about it? Betting on Vanderbilt in Tuscaloosa? Not really. But I'll take the 15.5 because it's a lot. I'm counting on Vanderbilt to get to 65, which means if they lose 80-65, I win. That's what I'm looking for there from the doors. And then the nightcap on ESPN, only on ESPN because of the brand, not necessarily the matchup. Kentucky headed to Ole Miss to play Kermit's Ole Miss Rebels. Cats are 7.5-point favorites. That line is way light in my estimation. I know Kentucky's not great, but Ole Miss, I don't know what the deal is with Matthew Morrell, if he can play or not. I'm taking Kentucky and laying the 7.5 and feeling real good about that. So if you're really in the market to fade Hunt, we need to start a movement here, #fade Hunt. If you're really in the market to do that and that's your financial investment strategy, load up on Ole Miss because I got Kentucky and I think they're going to easily cover this number in an empty arena with Kentucky may outnumber Ole Miss in the pavilion. We know how Kentucky travels. It's an 8 o'clock tip-off on a Tuesday. Everybody's quit on Ole Miss's basketball program. They're looking at baseball season. They're probably unveiling a new flag or a statue or trophy or something coming up in 2 weeks. They don't care about this game. Kentucky, huge over the 7.5. Love it. So those of you in the Bayou Ford chat, put your investments in accordingly. All right, before we get to Sharif, want to mention Kim Mulkey's LSU basketball Tigers. Really nice win for them last night in front of an absolutely packed house inside the PMAC, which is cool. It's really cool when they do it for gymnastics. It's really cool when they do it for men's baseball. I love a full box. Tiger Stadium is awesome. Last night was great for the women's basketball program to beat Tennessee 76-68. Slow start for Angel Reese, but she came on. And I thought the coolest thing that came out of last night, other than the crowd, was after Alexis Morris' career-high 31 points, the LSU point guard, Angel Reese looked at her after the game, and somebody caught this on camera. I don't know if it was ESPN or LSU or what, but she said, "You're a first-rounder, right?" And Alexis Morris goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Then you can't turn it off and on. It has to always stay on." And one last night for Alexis Morris was 31 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 steals. And this LSU basketball team, not that I've followed them since November, I haven't. I wouldn't pretend to tell you that I have. And I can't name 6 players on the team. That's just the reality of where we're sitting here. But I'm aware of Reese and Morris, and I'm aware of Floje, and I'm aware that they're undefeated, and I'm aware that they took out Tennessee last night. And I'm aware from all the Twitter that comes into my feed, the confidence level on this LSU women's basketball team right now is astronomical. And that matters in any sport. When you walk in the gym or onto the field or into the stadium or whatever it may be, when you think you're better than the other team, that matters. And I don't know if LSU is better than South Carolina. I don't know if they're better than UConn. I don't know. But they believe they are. I don't know if they're better than Stanford. They believe they are. And they're not going to be scared of anybody. So nice win for them last night. All eyes pointed on a week from Sunday. We'll see if both teams can get there unbeaten. But it was cool to see the PMAC full. I think it's always been said in this town, if it's purple and gold and it wins, they show up. I think that's true. And everybody's really hustling hard to call LSU a women's basketball school, all this kind of stuff. If you want to put that out on Twitter or whatever, that's awesome. But the fact of the matter is it's an LSU town. And when you win, people show up, and they packed the PMAC last night, and the Tigers got it done, 21-0. That's a pretty salty start here. Kim Mulkey's been awesome. If you missed Patrick Wright's interview with Charlie Handegriff to open up Handy Time a little bit earlier, kind of went a little bit more in depth into what last night looked like, what it meant, and where this team is headed. And the excitement about women's basketball is not going to slow down anytime soon, because I think LSU is going to make a deep run of this tournament. All accounts they should. And look, the signing class coming in is going to be incredible. So we said the day it was announced she was going to be hired that she'd win a national championship. I have not come off that a second. I believe they will. Charlie thinks it's next year. I'll take one of the next 2 years. The year after that sounds good to me. But it's cooking over there in Lady Tiger country. Nice win for them last night. We'll take a timeout. It is not cooking in Pels country. They are struggling to find a win anywhere on that schedule. We'll talk to Sharif Ishak about it next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that.
Hannigruff, join us for the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time. Shea Dixon is with us. It's National Signing Day, though it figures to be a little bit quiet for the Tigers. We'll get you up to date on everything going on around the country. Plus, we do first class, second class, no class. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Trying to link up with Sharif Ishak over from WDSU. He is out of pocket at the moment. Wanted to chat with him about the Broncos fit for Sean Payton because they're kind of starting to run out of real estate here with open coaching vacancies. So we'll see. Pels had the Nuggets tonight, and that game's in Denver. It's just been an awful go for the last 3 weeks for the Pellies. Nuggets are 22-4 at home. They are a difficult draw here, and 6.5-point favorites for a reason. And we'll see if the Pels can get off the schneid. If they don't hear it, you just wonder how long it may go. Sharif Ishak, WDSU, joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharif, how are you?
I'm good. I think if they don't win tonight, they're probably not going to win Thursday unless Luka sits out. I would say maybe Saturday against the Lakers.
The Lakers are all of a sudden like playing hard. They got, they went and made a trade for Hachimura. It's just, what do we think?
I think that the Pelicans are in a lot more trouble than we think. I think something is going on internally that's just not right. Something just seems off with the team. I mean, yes, the whole, not having Brandon and Zion in the lineup for all those games together is certainly a good excuse, but after a while, that excuse kind of runs out and you're just looking at the team. It's like, man, what is going on? The defense is sloppy. They give up, these nasty quarters. They're playing their, a 39-21 quarter. Then they give up 40-plus points. I know it's Giannis and the Bucks are really good, but there's just something wrong defensively. And at times, the stretches in the game where they go flat in offense, and that's just not who this team is. Honestly, this is what it gets back to, and I think this is what Willie Green said after the game Saturday against the Wizards. They're not having fun. They got to get back to having fun. This team isn't having the joy they had when they were in first place and they were clicking. Something happened. It all went flat, and they just got to find a way to find it again because they're 26-25. They were 23-12 and in first place after they beat the 76ers back on December 30th at home, and it's gone downhill since then. They just got to figure it out.
I mean, you got any theories on that? Is it just that they're not winning? Is it the injuries have just beaten them down? Is it a tough part of the schedule? What could it be?
Honestly, I just think like when you got guys going in and out of the lineup, a guy like Ingram missing 29 straight games, and you try to put him back in the lineup, he comes out rusty for a couple games, and he sits out another game, then he's going to play again tonight. And the continuity and the chemistry, it is basic as it sounds. That kind of like hurts a little bit. And then you reintegrate Zion whenever he comes back, and how long is that going to take? It's just like you're putting your good pieces in and out of the lineup. It's hard to, gather that chemistry and get back into the flow that you had earlier in the season. Now, yes, it is a long season. I understand that argument all the time, but you don't want to nosedive like this. You certainly don't want to nosedive like this in the middle of the season and let it continue because the schedule doesn't get any easier. There is no easy win on that schedule. I thought it was going to be the Wizards. I was completely wrong. Gafford absolutely destroyed them at the rim, and that's because, yes, Jonas was out, but I still think they were going to have their way even if Jonas played. I think he's, to me, they're missing pieces too. They need an athletic rim protector. I have told you this many times on your show. They need to find somebody who is an athletic big guy, and I think part of that, they're missing a piece. They're just missing a piece, another small piece off the bench, and that's just this team is just not in a good place right now, Hunt.
So, do you feel differently about what this team is going to achieve this season than you did in December? Do you feel differently about the short-term future, the next 2 or 3 years about this team than you did in December?
No, I don't. You always say, man, if this team is ever healthy, fully healthy, they're a championship contender. And I feel like one year, eventually, they're not going to deal with so many of these injuries to, their two best players on the team. But Zion plays the game very violent. He plays, he's a different style of player at his size, and you expect him to miss some games. But you just hope it isn't long stretches of games like this with his hamstring or anything else with his knee. You just hope it's small portions of the season, and the same with Ingram. I mean, he's missed a ton of games with 7 different injuries this season. That's just not right. I mean, other than that, I think they, if you have them fully healthy for 65 games of the year, you feel good about this team. But, I mean, what team is healthy for that many games of the season? It's very rare. I mean, every team seems like they're going through it in a way. Look how stacked they are from 3 to, 11. It's unreal. I mean, a lot of those teams are dealing with injuries. I mean, I feel like the Nuggets really haven't dealt with, a serious injury. They, the Joker and Murray are playing, and they're playing well, and that's why they're the top team. And then, Memphis, they hit a wall, and, now they have Adams is out, and, some of their other guys are in and out of the lineup. They still find a way to win. They did go on a 5-game losing streak, but it didn't really hurt them that much. They stayed the second seed. So they just got to find a way. I do think they need to add a piece. Now, it doesn't need to be one of those massive pieces where you have to trade some of your first-round picks, but they need to find somebody that can help them out a little bit.
Is there it seems like an easy message to send if you're Willie Green. Hey guys, remember last year when we just caught fire at the end? Like, let's do it. Like, is that because you did it last season? Does it feel more attainable this year? Or is that still tough to rely on?
Willie isn't a fiery type of guy. Him getting tossed in the game was absolute shocker to me. I never thought I'd see that day come whenever he got tossed out of the game. He did it without cursing because, by the way, he doesn't curse. And that game getting tossed, it's more about frustration with how the team is playing. And maybe to fire them up a little bit. It worked, but, yeah, in short patches that might work to get them fired up and, have a speech. But the expectations change from last year to this year, obviously.
Yeah.
We talked about it in the preseason. Hey, this team should win 50 games. They're not going to win 50 games now unless a miracle happens. They may win 43 games. But they just got to find a way, man. I mean, if Willie has to start throwing chairs, if he has to go old school and go Will Ferrell in old school throwing chairs, then maybe he does that. I don't know. But that's not in his personality. It's somebody has to step up within the roster to do that. Where somebody who has to be a strong voice. I think it could be CJ or Larry Nance, one of those guys, one of those veterans who can really get a spark going within the team. Could they win tonight? Yeah. I mean, of course they can win tonight. Both BI and CJ are going to play. Could they lose by a lot? Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen them lose to teams with lesser records by a lot more. So I don't know. It's bad, man. It is bad. I didn't think it was going to get like this, but this is kind of, a long season and injuries and a lot of other things that are going on that I just can't put my finger on it. I don't know why it's been this bad.
It's not something we saw coming. There are ebbs and flows over the course of 82, but this is a significantly log ebb here. You losing confidence that Sean Payton's going to find a landing spot?
If it isn't Denver, it isn't anyone.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right? It's point blank. I think it's the compensation. Like when you see that the Saints want 2 first-round picks, Mickey says it, they want 2 first-round picks. Who in the world is just going to give up a Super Bowl caliber coach who, led the, NFL and in offense for 14 of his, 15 years in New Orleans? That it just doesn't happen. You don't give up a coach like that for free. I mean, I'm not giving you a Sean Payton for a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick. You've got to come with your best package. And on top of that, it was $20 to $25 million. I'm sure the Broncos can pay it. The Walmart money. Does he really want to go there? Does he want to be with Russell Wilson? Maybe he does. Maybe he sees Drew as Russ, or Russ is Drew. And he has those same type of comps, except Russ can, move it a little bit more. But yeah, maybe he does want to be there. But the other thing with him is that he's just got to figure out, does he want to be in that division with Herbert and Mahomes every single year?
Well, he straight up dissed the AFC South when they were talking about the Houston opening, and he was talking to Cowherd. He's like, yeah, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indianapolis. I mean, that's not that tough. So, yeah, I think he's clearly weighing those types of options. But if you're the Saints, there's part of you that wanted to create that bidding war between teams so that you could get as much back as possible. Now there's nobody to bid against. So you kind of lost your leverage, right?
Well, and then, with just one team now, you're just it really does feel like he's coming back to Fox. And you've seen all these reports that, like, he and Jim Harbaugh, the two guys the Broncos are going to chase. I mean, look, that's all fine, and it's really nice. But it doesn't mean the Saints are going to say yes if the compensation isn't what they want. We don't know what the 49ers pick is going to be now because that's their first-round pick for the Broncos. I mean, a late first, and, they're going to want a next year first, too, and a second possibly, and a third. I mean, that's a fair trade. But if he doesn't, then I don't see his value going down that much next year. If a team's going to want him, he still has another year left on his deal after, the next season's up. Who says the Cowboys won't, Jerry Jones, throw the house at the Saints because he loves Sean Payton? Who says the only thing about the Chargers is Dean Spanos is notoriously cheap. I don't see him paying Sean Payton. Yeah, he's not going to spend it. That's the only thing. Like, just got to wait for the next, round of hires. Is it going to be there next offseason? So, yes, the dice you have to, be willing to roll next offseason if he doesn't take a job this season. But you have to hold firm and steady if you're Mickey Loomis. You just cannot get played here. That is the thing. You cannot get fleeced.
We'll do it again next week, Sharif. Thanks.
Anytime, Hunt.
He is Sharif Ishak over at WDSU talking all things New Orleans. Our New Orleans correspondent over there, Sharif. It's 104.5 ESPN's Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver, where you could win $50,000 in cash if your name is drawn from the pot and you've correctly guessed the final score of the big game. We'll also be selecting a guaranteed local winner. 104.5 ESPN's Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver. All the taste, no bitter endings. Get your score guesses in now at 1045ESPN.com. We'll take one more timeout, play some Take It or Leave It, and get on down the road. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together,
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll get you an update on the Senior Bowl and can the Pelicans finally end this losing streak. We'll preview it all on Tuesday's AFR. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, closing up shop here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. You're looking for something to do this evening, Plucker Sports Trivia, 8:30 Nicholson location. We'll be there playing some sports trivia, watching some hoops, have the Pels on, have some SEC basketball on. You can win gift cards, have some cold drinks, good food. It's always a good time. Tuesdays, Plucker Sports Trivia, 8:30. We'll have you out of there by 10 o'clock. Bring a team on by. All right, Taylor Sharp, take it or leave it.
All right, Dexter Fowler announced his retirement today. Dexter Fowler, a Cub for life. Take it or leave it.
You take it. These are
I'll take it.
My 16 brothers, 2016 Cubs. Dexter Fowler, leadoff home run, Game 7 of the World Series against Corey Kluber. That is Cub for life. I know he signed with the Cardinals after that. They were paying him the cash. That's fine. He sent out his retirement announcement today. What hat and jersey was he wearing? Cubs hat and jersey because he's a Cub for life. Love Dexter Fowler. Was on the 2015 team. You go, we go. Leadoff man. Contract ran up. Didn't have a contract. Was looking around all off season. Cubs reported to spring training. Dexter Fowler still didn't have a job. Cubs said, you know what? Come on back. He comes out to the spring training field. Announced he signed a contract. Everybody goes nuts. We win 1,000,000 games. World Series champs. Dexter Fowler. Cub for life. You take it.
Detroit Pistons assistant coach Jerome Allen tried to trash talk Luka before the game. I don't know why assistant coach is doing that.
Yeah.
Anyways, Luka answered by scoring 53 points. It's a bad idea to trash talk Luka. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that. Luka doesn't seem like the guy that's going to be, that's going to adversely react to trash. I think you're having trouble getting in Luka's head. He doesn't move very fast. He's just kind of steady Eddie and kind of having some fun. Has a triple-double with like 70 points. Says he needs a celebratory beer. He's the man. He's a great player. He's not going to respond to some assistant coach for the Pistons, which, by the way, Pistons guy, your team stinks. I think you're in second to last in the East. So maybe cool it on talking to one of the 5 best players on the planet and let your guys have a fighting chance out there instead of firing them up and letting them score 53 points on their head. Not a great idea.
All right, this next one's great. A Chicago school official, one official, which blows my mind, has been arrested for stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings from the school district during the COVID-19 pandemic. If you're wondering just how many chicken wings $1 million plus will get you, it's equivalent to 11,000 cases. $1.5 million worth of wings. Take it or leave it.
Oh, man. I'm going to take it. I like wings. Wings are good. We'll be at Pluckers tonight. You can get some wings. You don't have to steal 11,000 cases. Look, I read into this story a little bit when I saw it. So the flag got raised because this was a cafeteria worker who was in charge of ordering the food. They were getting the food delivered and then stealing it, and they found it on the invoices because these were bone-in wings. It's an elementary school. You can't have bone-in food of any kind. It's like, where's the bone-in wings going? So they started to look into it. Cafeteria worker had been selling off 11,000 cases of bone-in wings for $1.5 million. Now, big trouble. It's everybody's got a great plan until you get caught, and that seemed like a great plan, but you got caught.
That's why you go boneless.
Yeah, well, that is really dumb, but that story's hilarious. I mean, it's basically a victimless crime. I'm sorry this person's going to go to jail, and I'm sorry the school is out $1.5 million over how many years that was. So if not totally victims, like nobody got hurt here. This is just somebody trying to get over some chicken wings. That's kind of funny to me.
I don't know how you could even eat that many chicken wings.
You sell them.
After the refs missed a foul call on LeBron James's potential game-winning shot against the Boston Celtics, Patrick Beverley came off the bench and showed the referee video footage of the foul, and he was ultimately given a technical foul.
Shocker.
Showing officials video proof of their mistakes. Take it or leave it.
Okay, so this has layers because Pat Bev is a little much for me. He's just a little much. He's a little much on Twitter. He's a little much on the podcast. A little much on the court. And this was a little much. However, officials sometimes deserve a little much. And this was a game-changing play. This was the game. If they call the foul and LeBron doesn't go 0 for 2 from the line, they win against Boston on the road. I gotta take it. I think you can show the video proof. And quite frankly, the official should see the video proof on the camera and say, oh, yeah, I sucked there. That was a terrible job by me. Move away, Pat Bev. Not give a technical and award the other team points. You compound your error, in my opinion, in that perspective. Now, some people say that's crazy. You got to keep law and order on the court, and you can't have people bringing cameras. No, you can't, because they weren't playing basketball, and the official did a terrible job. So he should be told he did a terrible job, understand he did a terrible job, and not compound the error with a technical foul. Now, they did come back after the game and say they did a bad job, but just don't get the technical.
All right, Hunt, we're about to wrap it up, but
yes,
how many touchdown passes did you throw this season?
Well,
in the NFL,
I have not thrown a touchdown pass since 2002. So it's been 21 years.
The good news is you're only 2 away from making the Pro Bowl.
Oh, good.
Because Tyler Huntley has officially been named to the Pro Bowl after a 2-touchdown, 3-interception season. Huntley deserving of the Pro Bowl. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to have to leave that. Not a great effort. Really didn't play any games this year. I know that the AFC's got a little bit of an issue. You got Mahomes who can't play. You got Josh Allen who just got hurt and doesn't want to play. Tua's hurt. He can't play. You got some issues on the AFC Pro Bowl, and I get that. But I think we got to find some other representative besides Tyler Huntley. Someone else. I know it's not even a game now. It's like flag football.
Well, so Derek Carr's in it as well, and he's not even on a team.
Let Tyreek Hill play quarterback. It's flag football.
So I don't know what helmet Derek Carr is wearing, but he's going to represent the AFC.
I don't think it'll be a Raiders helmet. Look, yeah, let Tyreek Hill. It's flag football. Let Tyreek play quarterback. What do we need another quarterback for? It's flag football. Just run around, hook and lateral.
I think I like 5 of them.
Yeah, I guess that's enough. So this is one of those deals that's really going to devalue when you're talking about like Hall of Fame status. Well, he made 6 Pro Bowls. Oh yeah, remember that time Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl after he threw 2 touchdowns? That's gonna hurt. I mean, you're gonna have a trouble, making Pro Bowls some sort of reasonable measure for career greatness if you've got guys who had objectively mediocre or even poor seasons, or they just didn't play because they're the backup quarterback. I don't think I'm going to take that one. That's a tough scene for the AFC. All right, that'll do it here for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We open things up with some baseball thoughts. I gave you some thoughts on practice yesterday. Saw Chase Shore, saw Christian Little, saw Ben DePault make a couple really nice plays. Dylan Grews almost broke the scoreboard once again. The umps were going nuts over the pitch clock, which I touched on. Then some really good clips from the Hey Payton podcast over there at LSU. Cody Worsham's squad always does an awesome job putting out content. He had Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens. Highly suggest you go check that out. over wherever you get podcasts, the Hey Fightin' podcast. I gave some clips about the pitch lab that I found very, very fascinating. We chatted with Glenn West of Go247, talked some baseball, talked a little bit of basketball with him as well at 1:30. And then LSU's defensive line kind of hurting for numbers now with Mekhi Wingo out, Mason Smith coming back slowly, Jordan Jefferson had a meniscus injury, Deshaun Womack had his surgery operated on. So they're light on the defensive front. I talked about that at 1:45. Talked a little bit about what Matt McMahon said on his coach's show in hour number 2, previewed the SEC slate for tonight in hoops, and looked back at LSU's win over Tennessee in women's basketball last night. And then Sharif from WDSU joined us to talk Pels and a little bit of Saints. We also played some Take It or Leave It as usual. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Wherever you find your audio, you can find our stuff at 1045ESPN, including The Hunt Palmer Show. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming to you from 6 to 8 this evening. Matt Moscone is about to drive you home on After Further Review. I'll be at Pluggers tonight at 8:30. Come on out. And I'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow. It's 1 to 3 weekdays on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.